Hello, I'm Beverly Thompson. Welcome to City Life, dedicated to keeping you informed on Durham's important news and events. Well, if you ask anyone what makes Durham so unique, they'll likely offer several reasons, ranging from the literal to the emotional. The restaurants, diversity, funky attitude, openness, the people, just to name a few. For many, Durham has a quality that is difficult to put your finger on, but you know it when you're here. In fact, the many accolades our community receives shows that there are a number of qualities that place Durham at or near the top on so many lists. So you may be asking yourself, what's the it that Durham's got that makes it such a unique place? Well, today we're going to discuss how the City Council and City Administration are answering that very question with an inside look at Durham's first ever strategic plan. Joining me now to talk about the plan and how it will impact every single person that calls Durham home is Jay Reinstein, Strategic Initiatives Manager for the City of Durham. Welcome, Jay.
Thanks, Beverly.
And thank you so much for joining me today.
Great to be here.
Okay, Jay, I'm going to get started by asking you this one question. Okay, most people want to know, what can your city do for them? I mean, if you ask them that question, they're going to say, well, I want you to collect my garbage, make my city safe, or pave city streets. They don't think about a strategic plan. So why should a city even think about creating a strategic plan?
Great question. Well, a strategic plan really enables the council to help with decision making, with resource allocation, and it's really that business plan that tells us how to operate.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, these are just easy day-to-day tasks. And when you say operate, what do you mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, I think one of the things with the strategic plan, which is really important, is better communication. Mm-hmm. And when you put together one of these plans, mm-hmm. there's a lot of cross-departmental efforts mm-hmm. that go involved to a plan, which helps with communication. Mm-hmm. The other thing, it really gives you that roadmap or that structure that you need,
okay.
and it answers three critical questions.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you now? Where are you going? And how you're going to get there. Mm-hmm. So that is really important for a strategic plan, to have that structure and roadmap.
I see. Now, I know we just completed our first ever strategic plan. Mm-hmm. And why did the city even feel that this was needed?
Well, I think over the years, and especially over the last few years, there's been a lot of complex challenges, whether it be financial challenges or resource challenges, mm-hmm. and that's been really difficult, and it's actually having to do more with less. But to help us focus on the key priorities, we have now said that we're moving forward with embarking on a strategic plan, mm-hmm. and that will help us to be able to achieve these goals that we have set forth.
Okay, well, let's talk about those goals then. What are
Sure.
they?
Sure. Well, we started with 8 goals, and about 10 years ago, and for the last 10 years, City Council has reaffirmed our goals. Mm-hmm. What we've been able to do is, working with Council, is to consolidate those goals to 5 goals. We've also worked on a new mission and vision statement, and the 5 new goals are strong and diverse economy, mm-hmm. safe and secure community, thriving livable neighborhoods, well-managed city, and goal number 5 is stewardship of the city's physical assets. Mm-hmm. So all of these goals are really now in our new strategic plan.
Mm-hmm. Now when you say goals, these are things that are important to making a city function. Right. I mean, everybody wants a safe and secure community, or great assets
Sure.
that, for example, facilities, I guess, that the city owns and operates, like decks and things like that. Right. So these things kind of make sense for everybody, huh?
Absolutely, absolutely. They really touch all the departments. They also are something that really impacts what goes on in our community.
I see.
Very important.
Now, to achieve these goals, I know you've set forth some initiatives. Can you give us some initiatives or an example of an initiative for a strong and diverse economy?
Sure. Well, our plan actually includes 37 initiatives, and we knew we could not focus on all 37 at once, so what we've been able to do is we've come up with 10 priority initiatives, 2 initiatives under each goal, and what I'm going to talk about today is just highlighting one of those initiatives under each of the 5 goals. So the first initiative is to evaluate the effectiveness of incentive policies to encourage businesses to locate to Durham. So how does that really impact our residents? Well, more businesses in Durham mean higher taxes. And a stronger commercial tax rate means that there'll be less burden on our citizens for taxes. They'll also have a greater amount of locations where citizens can eat, shop, just have fun in the community. And with more businesses, there's also more purchasing from other businesses, which is huge, which increase profits as well as business sustainability.
Can I clarify one thing? When you
Sure.
say more businesses in Durham, higher taxes, what you mean is less of tax burden,
Correct.
right, for residents.
For the residents, right.
Okay,
right.
I just wanted to clarify
That's correct.
that. Okay.
That's correct.
All right.
Yeah.
So go ahead. I know you were talking about more businesses and businesses purchasing from businesses, and that kind of helps with the overall
Absolutely.
economy as well.
That's right, right.
Okay.
So that's
And
sort of
job
what
opportunities.
aligns with that first initiative. And again, it's important that when we're developing these initiatives that we get a lot of input, and I'll talk about that a little bit later,
Okay.
from our citizens as well, and we'll talk about that. a
Okay,
little
well,
later.
let's talk about a safe and secure community. I mean, certainly everybody wants to see that happen.
Sure. Well, the initiative that falls under goal number 2 is to improve officer safety and response time for priority 1 calls through the use of the automatic vehicle locator. And AVL is very similar to a GPS. And priority 1 calls are calls that are either in progress and there's an immediate threat to life and property. Well, our police department over a 6-month period was able to install AVL in all of their patrol cars. And we saw an actual increase after 6 months after installation, where 5% improvement in response time to responding to priority 1 calls.
Wow.
Now, folks would say 5% maybe not so big, but 5% could be the matter of life and
Life
death,
and death, yeah.
as well as a matter of catching a suspect and not catching a suspect. So it's really huge, and it really can make all the difference in the world. So that was.
Go ahead. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
so we've actually seen some improvement already with that new initiative.
Okay, so let's talk about living in thriving neighborhoods.
Sure, sure. Well, the initiative that we have under that, which is one of our priorities, is to develop an NVI, or a Neighborhood Vitality Index. And we found that some other cities across the country, Chicago and Seattle, as well as Charlotte, North Carolina, have implemented one of these plans. And it really provides information to residents about their specific communities. And it's really a monitoring tool to measure the quality of life in various neighborhoods. So it's really a good tool for our neighborhoods, and it's a way that we can stay engaged with our community. Most importantly, it's really an indicator of how well the neighborhood is doing. So that's something very, very important. And some of the measures are safety, appearance, resident mobility, things of that nature.
I know a couple of weeks ago there was a event called Bull City Cruisers, and that tied into the Neighborhood Vitality Index measurement, I believe.
Absolutely,
So
that is
was-
correct.
Okay, all right. What about a well-managed city, and why should this be so important
Sure.
to residents who live in Durham?
Well, our initiative there is to implement technology that supports a strategic plan, and I'm really excited about this. We have a great opportunity with our new performance management system software. Some folks refer to it as a dashboard. And it's really an opportunity for our citizens to get engaged with the strategic planning process and to find out how well we're doing on various intermediate measures, outcome measures, and initiatives. So it's a report card of sorts on our performance. It also speaks to accountability to the administration as well as our elected officials. There's some really interesting capabilities as far as being able to drill down into data and get information, more specific information about an initiative. And one of the things that we were able to do in February, we had a citizen engagement workshop, and we met with about 40 or 50 citizens. And we asked them, when it came to design and functionality of this site, what was important to them. And they talked about ease of use, making sure it's user-friendly, a lot of charts and graphs, nice colors. The format was very important. So again, we're listening to our community, and I'll talk a little bit later about our new oversight committee that's involving citizens, not only with this project, but also with input on the overall strategic plan document. So it's definitely something that is needed for this organization and will help with transparency.
Okay, all right, well, that's good to hear. What about stewardship of the city's physical assets? And this would include decks and the city's buildings and the parks. And what are you doing to monitor that, and watch that residents even care about, how we take care of that?
Well, we're developing what they call an asset management system, and it's really a system to plan and manage and schedule maintenance and repair of capital improvements for our city facilities, so it is really important. We had to narrow the focus a little bit because there's a lot of assets. So initially our focus is really on city-owned buildings, and we have an ad hoc team, which I'll talk about in a little bit, that's really, their focus is on that. But again, we'll have the ability to track the progress and actually see how well buildings are maintained using our performance management system. And I think that taxpayers really want to know that the facilities they are using are safe and well maintained.
Right.
And by tracking this and by putting this asset management system in place, they'll be able to do that.
Okay. Jay, I can tell a lot of work went into developing this plan and its goals and initiatives, and a lot of input from all over, from employees, from citizens, from businesses was obtained, and that is a great thing. Can you give our viewers a brief overview of the process that you used to get us to this point?
Sure. Well, to get us to this point, it's taken about 2 years.
2 years.
2 years, well over 100 city employees, a lot of citizens, but the first thing we did was we benchmarked. We looked at what other cities were doing as far as their strategic plan models were concerned, also the private sector, and then we created a hybrid model with the assistance of our consultant, and we were able to use their methodology to move this process forward. The other thing we had to do is we had to do an inventory of all of our existing citywide plans, whether it was a business plan or a strategic plan, so that as we move forward, we would make sure that there was really no redundancy in the process, and also to make sure that these existing plans that we're currently using would eventually align with the overarching citywide plan. So that was a big piece. Probably the biggest part of this process was the conducting of the SWOT analysis.
And what's a SWOT analysis?
And what's a SWOT? Well, a SWOT stands for Strengths and Weaknesses of the Organization and Opportunities and Challenges External to the Organization. We had over 700 people participate in this process, from our elected officials, our city council, to our administration, to our employees, to our citizens and our stakeholders. And folks either attended one of our forums to give us input, completed a survey online, or even a paper survey. And all of the data that we were able to pull together really helped drive this process. It helped us create our objectives for the plan, as well as help us to develop our initiatives. So that was really critical. The other thing, too, is that City Council and staff also took an in-depth look at our goals, our mission, and vision. And as I said earlier, you know, these have been reaffirmed for the last 10 years. It was important that we took another look. We did a little bit of consolidating and tweaking, and now we have a brand new mission, vision, and goals. So that was also a project with our elected officials. The next step is the big step, and that's the implementation process. And that's what we started in October of last year. And it's really where the rubber meets the road. It's our opportunity to focus on carrying out the initiatives. And as I said earlier, there are 10 priority initiatives, 2 under each goal. We have a structure that we've put in place where we have a goal champion, and that goal champion is responsible for the oversight with the specific initiatives that fall under the goal. We also have ad hoc teams comprised of a cross-section of city employees that are really responsible for carrying out the various initiatives in the plan. Well over 2,000 hours have been put in so far in the implementation, over 100 city employees, and we're also working with our partners too in the community. So it's a huge collaborative effort.
It sounds like a dynamic effort.
It is.
So many people involved. There must be a lot of energy behind this right now.
I'd like to think a lot of energy.
A lot of your energy.
And a lot of work.
Okay, Jay. Well, speaking of energy, I know that this plan is a dynamic document. So it is really a document that you'll follow. And it's going to be refreshed annually.
Correct.
Okay. Why will the city do this, and how can residents get involved in helping with the refreshment or refreshing, if you will, of this document? I mean, how can they get involved?
Well, at one time, strategic plans were typically 3 to 5 years. With the way the economy changing so quickly, our plan is a 3-year plan. It's very important that on an annual basis that we're getting input from the community, from the administration, of course, from our elected officials. And that will mean as initiatives are completed, they will come off. We'll begin focusing on the other initiatives that are on the plan. But a big part of it is really the input that we'll get from the community as well. And we have created a new Citizens Oversight Committee. And we've created this committee based on a workshop that we did about 6 weeks ago. And we had people from the community from different parts of Durham volunteer to be on this committee. And it's a very important role that they will be playing. One of the things that we will have them do is beta test or test our performance management software before it comes online to find out what's working and what's not working. We'll probably be meeting with them every couple of months to find out, is there any way other than we're currently displaying information that they would like to see information displayed. The what's working and not working. And then finally, for the strategic plan document, we are going to have an opportunity to work with our community and the Oversight Committee when we do that annual refresh, to once again look at the initiatives and look at the measures, making sure that we're moving in the right direction. And just to add to that, we recently were awarded a Trailblazer grant through the National Center for Civic Innovation, and that money is also going to be used to enhance our process, where we'll be able to work with our community even more frequently.
Great, great. Yeah. Well, it sounds like everybody's really behind this, and I know City Council is planning on adopting this strategic plan at some point. Why do we need to formally announce that such this plan is on the way, and why do we need to do it in such a public way, do you think?
Well, I think it's important to show our community, our citizens, our residents, the importance of this plan and the commitment from our City Council and the administration that this is something important. It's the way we will operate our business moving forward. So it's very important. And we often find that a lot of effort is put into plans, and later we see that plan sitting on a shelf and gathering dust. And folks get very frustrated because there's been so much effort put into it. Well, I can tell you with the leadership that we have in place today, that's not an option. This plan will dictate how we do business moving forward in the future. So that won't happen. And again, this is the plan that we will live by and go by every year. And the plan's theme is Durham's got it. It's let me say it again. Durham's got it. Okay?
Okay.
It's our way of saying we have a roadmap and we have that plan to take us into the future. So we're really excited about our new theme.
If our viewers want to know more about this plan and how they can get involved, where can they go for more information?
Sure. They can go to our website at www.durhamnc.gov/strategic plan, where they can call me at 560-4111 extension 20102. That would be the way to get a hold of me.
Okay. A lot of great advice.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thanks.
Jay, thank you so much for joining me today. And this is really an important initiative for the city overall. And as I said earlier, it probably seems like a lot for people to understand, but give Jay a call.
Great.
He'd be happy to talk to you and provide more information about our new strategic plan. Durham's got it.
Great.
All
Thanks
right.
for having me on.
Thank you. We're going to take a quick break now, but coming up in the next segment, we'll take an in-depth look at Durham's Partners Against Crime and why you should get involved. We'll be right back.
Butler residents? Everything that gets into our storm drains, soap, pesticides, pet waste, whatever, makes its way straight to our streams and into where you swim, what you drink, and where you fish. Stormwater runoff is our biggest source of water pollution. You're the solution now that you know where it goes.
Get on board the Bull City Connector, a fare-free route connecting Durham from the innovation of Duke to the history of downtown to the creativity of Golden Belt. The Bull City Connector is fare-free, frequent, and fun, connecting visitors, business travelers, students, and downtown workers to key destinations in and around Durham. So get on board the Bull City Connector Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to midnight, plus Saturdays and holidays. For more information, call 485-RIDE or visit bullcityconnector.org.
Welcome back to City Life. I'm Beverly Thompson, your host. If you've spent any time here in Durham, you've probably seen that this community is very active and engaged, not just in local government issues, but in all aspects of life here in the Bull City. But did you know that there's an organization specifically for residents looking to prevent crime and address quality of life issues in their neighborhoods? Joining me now to talk about Partners Against Crime and why you should join this organization to improve your neighborhood is PAC 3 co-facilitator, Mindy Soleil. Welcome, Mindy, and thank you so much for joining me again.
Thank you for having me.
Mindy, let's get started with the first question. You know, a lot of people might be a little bit unfamiliar with Partners Against Crime. I can't imagine who, but there may be some people who aren't. So can you briefly describe what this organization is all about?
Certainly. Partners Against Crime is a community-based volunteer organization that strives to find strategies to prevent crime in our neighborhoods. We work hand in hand with the police department as well as with other city agencies to find sustainable solutions to fight crime as well as to fight quality of life issues or deal with quality of life issues that then in turn lead to criminal behavior.
So boarded up houses and just
Vacant
in
lots,
general.
exactly. Weedy lots, graffiti, things that make our neighborhoods untidy, actually.
Yeah, okay. Well, how many PAC organizations are there in Durham?
There are 5 districts, 5 PACs and 5 police districts. So we
Okay.
correlate directly with each police district. So PAC 1 encompasses the northeast part of the city. PAC 2 represents the northwest. PAC 3 is the southwest. PAC 4 is the southeast. And in the center, we have our downtown district, PAC 5. And there also is a Durham Businesses Against Crime, which also likes to consider itself a PAC. It's for businesses citywide to join with the police to partner to fight crime.
So it pretty much covers all of the city.
The whole city.
Okay, well, I can imagine that different neighborhoods have different concerns and different issues that they want to address. What are some of the initiatives that each PAC might have, and how have you actually worked on these kinds of issues with the city?
Okay. Each PAC participates in several of the same things. So things like National Night Out, Crime Cabinet, Neighborhood Watch, Project Safe Neighborhood, CCIP, our Citizens Capital Improvement Panel. Those are things we all do, and we all do monthly. We all meet with our representatives monthly. But then each PAC, depending on the concerns of their citizens, they work on specific issues. So PAC 1, for example, has worked very closely with Northeast Central Durham's Livability Initiative. So they're looking at problems, resources, and a healthy environment for their neighborhood. PAC 2 has resurrected the PACE car program, which works to fight speeding in neighborhoods. PAC 3, my PAC, we've developed what we call Court Watch. We actually go to court and try to follow cases of crimes that have occurred in our neighborhood. So we act as advocates for the victims of crime, following a case from the jail, through the proceedings, through all the hearings, in order to hopefully get a conviction. PAC 4, they've been very active in health fairs, and this year they're working on a senior program where they engage their seniors with law enforcement to work together. PAC 5, being the downtown area, they have worked on downtown issues such as the solid waste plan. They've worked with the city to deal with the business community. They worked on 9th Street with the merchants.
Okay. Well, it sounds like, you know, while every PAC is focused on crime, they also branch out into other, like, general quality of life issues as well. For example, I know every year the city administration attends the PAC meetings to talk about the budget, and every time there's a large community issue that comes up as well, it seems, such as a bond referendum, which you guys helped us get passed last year. These are topics that are tackled at the PAC level as well. Why do you think PACs are evolving?
Well, the PACs evolve because crime just isn't crime. Crime goes hand in hand with quality of life issues. So to have all of those agencies at our meetings just totally enhances what we're able to do in each community. So by having neighborhood improvement services, having a Parks and Recs representative, having a solid waste representative, we can give our citizens one-on-one contact with that city agency, and we can solve problems. So not only are we looking to solve the the criminal activity, solve problems of crime with our police, but by having these other agencies at every meeting that the PAC has, we can deal with every issue that comes up. So as small as my trash can, or or my trash wasn't emptied, to as big as a homicide in a neighborhood. We have those city officials there at every meeting to meet one-on-one with our citizens. So it's evolved to be more than just fighting crime. I like to say it's quality of life, that a weedy lot or a vacant house can become a scene of crime. So by having the city agencies all there, we can work together and find solutions to some of these problems.
It's an ideal way to work with the government. I
think so.
Yeah. I know the PACs produce a lot of outreach materials for their members. Can you share what some of these are and which are in addition to your monthly meetings?
Exactly. So our monthly meetings include all our agency representatives from the city, including our police. But then we also have the opportunity to bring in guest speakers. So we include people like our legislators who write the laws. We include our district attorney, our judges in the court system. We're trying to educate our citizens so that we understand the criminal justice system. So we prepare so many materials because it's an educational process.
Exactly.
So in addition to our meeting, we have a newsletter. So every PAC has a newsletter that deals with the issues that they're interested in. And every newsletter contains contact information for our city representatives. So if you have a question for the captain, the lieutenant, the heat sergeant, the crime prevention officer, solid waste, it's all there every month in our newsletter. In addition to that, we have a listserv. So we ask you to join our PAC listserv because it's a very efficient way to communicate and share information. So instead of having to print out all this material and waste paper, on the listserv we can share information both ways. So the city can send information to the neighborhoods and we can send information from the citizens back to the city. So to me it's an ideal situation.
Sounds like it. I mean, I would think a lot of cities would really be envious of what Durham has in terms of this citizen involvement and especially the way the PACs work for citizens overall. I mean, it's really awesome. But you got to be facing some challenges right now. I mean, let's talk a little bit about those.
Absolutely. So number one is that we have crime. So if crime goes away, maybe we can go away. But we continue to fight crime, even though we have a terrific trend. We're trending downward in our criminal activity, and Chief Lopez can certainly speak to that. Our challenge is getting the word out. How do we tell people about the PAC? So thank you for having me here today
Happy to have you.
to represent all the districts because we'd like to increase our membership. We'd like to increase our Latino membership. It's very important that we reach all the citizens of Durham. And if you're excluded because you can't speak English, we're going to deal with that. And we're talking with El Centro. Right now, we talk about this at our PAC meetings. So getting the word out, getting people to join our listserv. If you don't have a computer, that's a problem. So we have to constantly remember our senior citizens and those who can't afford to have a computer to get hard copies of information to them, get them to our PAC meetings. And I think truancy becomes an issue. Let's keep our kids in school. What can we do to help? So we're willing to tackle pretty much any problem that comes our city's way.
Well, I'll tell you what, here's your time for your own commercial. If people want to find out more about PACs, what should they do?
All right, the first step, the easiest way to access us is to go to the police website. So it's www.durhampolice.com/PAC.
That's PAC.
PAC. And if you go to that, you'll see a chart of all the PACs listed, where we meet, what time we meet, our address. You'll also see right on that first page our substation phone numbers. So you can always call that substation and ask more about the PAC. Once you do that, you can ask to join the listserv, and that's a little bit more complicated. We have written instructions in our PAC newsletter and in our PAC brochures. So we do want you to get on the listserv because that is the way we can distribute information.
Okay, well, good. Mindy, thank you so much for joining me.
And well, thank you for having me.
All
I
right, great
appreciate it.
information.
Thank you.
And we're going to have you back to talk a little bit more in depth about PACs and how citizens can become involved.
All right. Well,
All right. Thank you so much. Well, that's it for this edition of City Life. If you have a comment or a future show idea, email us at publicaffairs@durhamnc.gov or call us at 560-4123. You can also visit DTV8 on Facebook and Twitter to find out how to tune into this show, City Hall This Week, and all of the city's programming. You can also find us on demand on the city's website at durhamnc.gov/DTV8. I'm Beverly Thompson. Thank you so much for joining me to learn more about city life in Durham.